Around 3,000 years ago, in the span of a single lifetime, the ancient world ended. Not one kingdom, but nearly all of them at once. Great cities were burned and abandoned. Mighty empires simply vanished from history. Even the ability to write was lost. And to this day, no one is certain why. To feel the loss, you have to see what came before. For centuries, the lands around the eastern Mediterranean had flourished together. The Egyptians, the Hittites of Anatolia, the Mycenaean Greeks, wealthy palace kingdoms linked by trade in gold, copper, and tin, sharing letters and gifts between their kings. This was a truly international age. A shipwreck from the period, found on the seabed, carried cargo from at least 7 different cultures in a single hull. Bronze itself required tin from far away, carried across vast distances. Their glittering world depended utterly on staying connected. Then, near the end of the 13th century before our era, the cracks appeared. Clay tablets from the time grow desperate. Letters beg for grain to stop a famine. Others warn of enemy ships appearing off the coast. One ruler pleads for help against attackers in a message that would be among his kingdom's last. And then came the raiders. The Egyptians recorded waves of attackers sweeping in from the sea and along the coast, a coalition of peoples whose origins remain a genuine mystery. History remembers them by the name the Egyptians gave them, the Sea Peoples. Wherever they struck, cities fell. Egypt, the greatest power of the age, met them in a massive battle and, at terrible cost, held on. A pharaoh carved the victory onto temple walls, boasting that he had scattered the invaders. But even Egypt was never the same again. And it was one of the lucky ones. Its neighbors were not. Elsewhere, the collapse was total. The Hittite Empire, which had rivaled Egypt itself, disintegrated, its capital burned and deserted. The great Mycenaean palaces of Greece, the world of the Trojan War legends, were destroyed one after another. Trading cities on the coast were wiped from the map entirely. And here is a detail that captures how deep the darkness went. In Greece, the very skill of writing was lost. The script the Mycenaeans had used vanished, and for centuries afterward, the Greeks left almost no written records at all. A civilization did not just fall, it forgot how to read. What followed was a true dark age. Populations crashed, long-distance trade withered. The grand palace societies, with their kings and scribes and artists, were replaced by smaller, poorer, scattered villages. It would take centuries for the Mediterranean world to climb back toward what had been lost. So what brought a whole interconnected world crashing down? For a long time, the raiders took the blame. But that only raises another question. What drove the Sea Peoples themselves from their homes? Increasingly, scholars think the invaders were a symptom of the collapse, not its root cause. The leading idea today is that no single blow did it. Instead, disaster piled upon disaster. Evidence points to a long, punishing drought that starved the land. Records hint at repeated earthquakes shaking the region. Famine and unrest spread. Any one of these, the old world, might have survived. All of them together, it could not. And because these kingdoms were so tightly linked, their strength became their weakness. When one fell, it dragged down its trading partners. Cut the flow of tin and you cannot make bronze for tools or weapons. A shock in one place cascaded across the whole network until the entire system unraveled. And that is why this ancient mystery still unsettles us. The Bronze Age world was globalized in its own way, wealthy, sophisticated, and utterly dependent on a web of connections it could not see. When enough of that web tore at once, it all came apart with terrifying speed. It is hard not to see a warning in it. In a single generation, the great civilizations of the ancient world burned, fell, and forgot themselves, and we are still piecing together why. Raiders from the sea, drought, earthquakes, and a fragile world too connected to save itself. Nearly everything ended at once. Now you know about the day the ancient world fell apart.